Russia has just deployed one of the deadliest weapons on Earth, less than 200 miles from NATO territory. The Oreshnik Hypersonic Missile System, a weapon that travels at 5 times the speed of sound. A weapon that no existing defense system can intercept. NATO commanders are now on the highest alert level since the Cold War. In the next 11 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what this means and why the next 30 days could determine the future of global security. Russia's deployment of the Oreshnik hypersonic missile system near EU borders represents the most serious military escalation since the Ukraine war began. This changes everything we thought we knew about defense and deterrence. We'll cover what the Oreshnik does, why Russia deployed it now, how NATO is responding, Ukraine's options, and what happens next. Hypersonic missiles operate at speeds above Mach 5, over 3,800 miles per hour. If launched from Western Russia, an Oreshnik could hit Berlin in under 8 minutes, London in 12, Paris in 10. Traditional ballistic missiles follow predictable arcs. Radar tracks them, computers calculate trajectories, and interceptors destroy them mid-flight. Hypersonic missiles don't play by those rules. The Oreshnik changes direction during flight. It flies at lower altitudes where it's harder to detect. At Mach 5+ speeds, detection to impact is measured in minutes, sometimes seconds. Current defense systems like Patriot batteries or THAAD interceptors are designed for slower, predictable threats. They can't reliably stop hypersonic missiles. The Oreshnik has a range between 1,900 and 3,400 miles. From its positions near Belarus and in Kaliningrad, virtually every European capital is within striking distance, every NATO base, every critical infrastructure hub. Here's what keeps NATO generals up at night. The Oreshnik can carry either conventional or nuclear payloads. There's no way to know which until it detonates. Ukraine has been using Western long-range missiles, American ATACMS, British Storm Shadows, French Scalp missiles, to strike deep inside Russian territory. Ammunition depots, command centers, airfields, oil refineries. Moscow warned repeatedly that these strikes crossed red lines. Those warnings were ignored. The Oreshnik deployment is Russia's answer. But look at where these systems are positioned, not just near Ukraine, but near Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, NATO members hosting American troops. This is escalation management. Russia is sending multiple messages. To Ukraine, your Western weapons can't protect you. To NATO, supporting Ukraine has risks. To European populations, your governments are bringing Russian weapons to your doorstep. To Russians, we remain a military superpower. A former NATO commander called it strategic intimidation with a live demonstration. The weapons are real. The threat is credible. NATO has taken concrete military action. Surveillance has been dramatically increased. AWACS aircraft are flying round-the-clock missions along the eastern border. E-3 Sentry planes, RC-135 intelligence aircraft, RQ-4 Global Hawk drones, all collecting data on Russian movements. Naval assets in the Baltic Sea have been reinforced. Additional destroyers and frigates carry Aegis combat systems tracking multiple threats simultaneously. NATO's battle groups in Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia are on heightened alert. Rotation schedules accelerated, ammunition stockpiles increased. Most significantly, NATO is rushing additional air defense systems to Eastern Europe. More Patriot batteries, NASAMS installations, Arrow 3 interceptors. These won't stop hypersonic missiles reliably, but they provide layered defense and demonstrate commitment. Behind the scenes, NATO members are coordinating response protocols. What happens if Russia uses these weapons? What constitutes an attack on the alliance? These are operational planning sessions now. The challenge is maintaining deterrence without triggering escalation. For Ukraine, this creates an impossible dilemma. Ukrainian forces have been effective using Western long-range weapons to degrade Russian capabilities, striking ammunition depots, command centers, airfields, oil refineries, impacts the front lines. Hitting airfields reduces bombing runs. These operations save Ukrainian lives. However, those strikes are being used by Russia to justify escalation. Moscow argues it's defending its territory, a narrative that complicates Western support. Ukraine's air defense can't stop hypersonic missiles. Soviet-era S-300 systems weren't designed for these threats. Even Western systems struggle with hypersonic targets. President Zelensky is pushing for more advanced technology, but even the most sophisticated Western systems have limited effectiveness against hypersonic missiles. Some analysts argue the only defense is offense, destroying these weapons before launch. That means Ukrainian strikes on deployment sites, which represents another escalation level. Ukraine operates without a safety net against Russia's most advanced weapons. What happens in Eastern Europe affects the world. China is paying close attention. Beijing has its own hypersonic program, the DF-17 and DF-ZV glide vehicle. Chinese planners are studying how Russia uses these systems and how NATO responds. Lessons learned apply to Taiwan and confronting American power in the Pacific. Regional powers are recalculating security. If hypersonic weapons become common, air superiority changes fundamentally. We're witnessing a new arms race. The U.S. is developing the AGM-183 ARRW and long-range hypersonic weapon. Russia has Oreshnik, Kinzhal, Avangard. China has multiple programs. Every major military power is investing because not having it means obsolescence. Here's what matters. These weapons can deliver nuclear warheads. Russia's deployment uses conventional payloads, as far as we know, but systems are dual capable. Infrastructure is the same whether conventional or nuclear. That ambiguity is dangerous. In a crisis, how does NATO know what an incoming hypersonic missile carries? Detection time is too short for deliberation. Decisions made in minutes. This is how accidents happen, how limited conflicts become unlimited. Where does this lead? 3 realistic scenarios. Scenario 1, escalation continues. Russia demonstrates these weapons. Ukraine responds with deeper strikes. NATO increases presence. Someone miscalculates. The spiral continues until direct NATO-Russia confrontation, the nightmare scenario. Scenario 2, frozen stalemate. War continues indefinitely. Neither side wins decisively. Oreshnik deployment becomes normalized. Thousands die monthly. Infrastructure destroyed. The world adjusts to permanent conflict in Eastern Europe. Scenario 3, negotiated exit. War exhaustion, economic pressure, and genuine risk of wider conflict force negotiations. Both sides compromise. Oreshnik deployment raises stakes high enough that fighting becomes less attractive than negotiating. Most assessments suggest we're between scenarios 1 and 2, continued escalation with long-term stalemate. Scenario 3 seems unlikely near-term, but when alternatives become catastrophic, negotiations become possible. Russia's Oreshnik deployment near NATO borders is a fundamental shift in European security we'll deal with for decades. These weapons render much NATO infrastructure less effective. They create uncertainty about escalation thresholds. Despite sanctions, Russia retains advanced capabilities that change strategic calculations. NATO responds with increased readiness, but faces a difficult balance, supporting Ukraine without triggering direct conflict with nuclear-armed Russia. Ukraine fights for survival with incomplete defenses. The world watches, learning lessons shaping military planning for the next generation. The next months are critical. how Russia uses or restrains from using these weapons, how NATO maintains deterrence without escalation, whether diplomatic progress is possible. These determine if this conflict remains contained or explodes into something worse. This isn't just about Ukraine, it's about European security's future and the rules governing conflict in the nuclear age. If this analysis helped you understand Russia's hypersonic missile deployment, hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell. We're tracking this daily. Drop a comment. Do you think NATO's response is strong enough? Should Ukraine have fewer restrictions on striking Russian territory? Which scenario seems most likely? I read every comment. Thanks for watching. Stay informed. See you in the next one.